Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a Mr. Peterson statue house from the game Hello Neighbour. Here are all of the materials that you will need to make the house. Please do make sure that you have access to all of those materials and enough of them as well. And now that we have all of our stuff, we can begin building. We're going to start off by placing a sequence of blocks on top of each other. We want to start with 2 blue concrete, 1, 2. 2 light blue, 1, 2, 2 more blue concrete, 1, 2, 2 light blue, 1, 2, 2 blue, 1, 2, and finally 2 light blue, 1, 2. We're going to take the last light blue that we placed and we're going to place 2 yellow concrete right of it, 1, 2. We're then going to place a blue concrete, light blue, 2 yellow, and then a dark blue. We are then going to extend the 2 middle back-to-back blocks down, each by 1, and then outwards left and right, like so. We then want to place yellow concrete extending down from the exposed visible yellow concretes, and on the right side here place a blue concrete. So that is the collar of Mr. Peterson's shirt that is under his jumper or sweater. So what we're now going to do is we're going to start from the bottom here and we're going to form a pattern using blue concrete and light blue concrete. So all we want to do is make 2 by 2 squares. So with the blue concrete we want to just add another layer of blue to the right, and then right of this we want to make a 2 by 2 square of light blue concrete, and then the same again using blue concrete, and then one last time using light blue. So as you can see, we have 4 squares of 2 by 2 concrete alternating across the bottom of the sweater. And what we're now going to do is on top of this, we are going to repeat the exact same pattern, except as you can see, it starts in a different way. So essentially it's just reversed. And this will give us the checkered pattern of Mr. Peterson's jumper, which is, as you can see, simply just light blue and blue concrete weaved together in little squares, the same way that a chessboard would be or a checkerboard, however you want to see it. And once you have finally filled in the front, you'll end up with this. What we're now going to do is Mr. Peterson's head. So we begin by placing a layer of white terracotta directly on top of the jumper, and we extend the white terracotta forwards by 2 rows. So 1 and 2. And then we extend upwards by 2 rows as well, so 1 and 2. On the left and right sides place a white terracotta, and extending inwards from this place a white concrete. Inwards from this place green concrete, and finish it off by placing white terracotta in between. Those are his lifeless eyes. What we're now going to do is place 3 brown concrete extending inwards from both sides to form the eyebrows, with white terracotta in between. Now place an entire row of white terracotta directly on top. We then want to place brown concrete on the left and right sides and also in the middle of the head. Place white terracotta in between, with a final layer of brown concrete directly on top of the head. What we're now going to do is extend the top of the head backwards by 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And of course we're going to use brown concrete for this. So brown concrete is going to be the majority of Mr. Peterson's head, as of course he has a full head of hair. So what we're going to do is, as I showed you here, we're going to extend backwards by 7 rows, and then we want to extend downwards by 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we want to extend all of these rows up and down, across, however you want to do it, as long as you extend all rows equally down by 6, specifically not 7, and there is a good reason for that. It's a very minor reason, but it is a good reason nonetheless. As you see, once you've done the 6 rows, on the 7th, we are simply going to add white terracotta underneath the left and right sides, extend the white terracotta inwards 1 row, and then place brown concrete in between. So you can see that final row isn't simply just brown. We then want to extend that row that we just made, the multicolored row, forwards using white terracotta until eventually it connects all the way to the front of the build. So we're just going to end up with a box like this. And then with our box, on the corners that are closest towards the face, we want to make a little kind of like triangular effect like this. It's kind of like an arrow, like so. So you place one in the corner essentially, and then one on top, and then one outwards. And this is pretty much going to be the last skin color that we use. We're now just going to use brown concrete and fill in the remainder of the head on the left and right sides. As I mentioned, he's got a full head of hair, so that's why it is majoritively brown. We are missing one feature from the head, which actually makes this much creepier. It actually looks kind of alright at the moment. I guess it's a little creepy since he's lacking a nose and a mouth, but the mustache, we have to make that. So where we have the eyes, we want to place brown concrete diagonally in front of the eyes, extending downwards towards the outside. We then want to place an entire row of brown concrete underneath them, connecting them together. That kind of makes him look as if he's got like a big giant smile. We then want to extend up the two center concretes like this, and then you have quite a menacing mustache. So the next thing that we have to do is we should probably make the rest of the body. So when it comes to the rest of the body, you actually don't have to do you don't have to make the entire sides of the actual statue because they'll be covered up by the arms. So actually, you know what, we'll actually do the arms first of all because it makes more sense really. We want to take the top of the body and we want to place 4 yellow concrete extending outwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. We then want to extend downwards by 3. 1, 2, 3. We then want to join this down to the ground using white terracotta, like so. We then want to take the white terracotta that hit the ground and extend it forwards by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then do the same with black concrete. 1, 2, 3, 4. Extend upwards by 3. 1, 2, 3. And then go back on yourself using the same pattern of blocks, like this. We want to extend that arm inwards across by 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Like this, we can join it, we connect it upwards. What we want to have is a mirror image of the arm that we just made on the opposite side. So we'll be using all these same materials. I'm not going to quite fill it in completely yet, but just to give you a gist of it, you can see how the arm extends across in the exact same pattern that it does on the opposite side. So you can pretty much just copy it one for one. The same thing can be said for the shoulder area as well, the upper arm that is connected to the body. And what we also want to do is we want to extend the arm backwards by 3 rows as well, and that is once again using the same material. So 1, 2, 3, and we can extend this upwards to where the yellow starts. We can then use yellow, we can extend the yellow across, and once more it is going to extend down to the ground in the same way that the front of the arm will as well. So it's quite an easy way of doing it really, just kind of like making the outline just like this. And I think that I'm going to do the same for the opposite side as well. So I know it looks a little bit weird at the moment, but it will look way better once we fill it in, of course. So we're going to come to the opposite side and we're going to start in the same way with 4 yellow concrete. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to extend down by 3. 1, 2, 3, and then down all the way down to the ground using white terracotta. So this is going to be the side of the arm all the way down to the ground. We want to take the block that hit the ground and extend it forwards by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this, and then another 4 using black. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we then want to extend upwards by 3 rows, of course, to make it 3D. 1, 2, 3. And then we want to extend across to the right by 3 for the same reason as to make it 3D. So once again, this is a mirror image not only of the row that we just made on the opposite side, but is also a mirror image of the opposite side too. So we've already done this once. It's the exact same deal, except of course on this opposite side. Actually, there is one stark difference between this side and the side that we've just made in the fact that we are going to be giving this side a crowbar. but we can do that a little bit later on. We are actually missing one of the materials that we need to make the crowbar anyway, so we'll just keep these out for now. So that's the front of the arm complete. We just have to extend it backwards in the same way that we did the other side, and I'm doing it from the opposite side this time. I'm doing it from bottom to top rather than top to bottom, but as long as the end result is the same, it doesn't really matter. And start from the bottom here like this, then yellow concrete. So perfect, that's what we want to have. Now what I want to do is I want to just cover the back up, and I want to fill it in. So the back of the build is actually the exact same as the front of the build, meaning you can basically copy it. So the back of the build basically just connects in between the two backs of the arms that we've just made, and it is just the alternating blue concrete areas. So the alternating blue and light blue concrete areas extending from the ground all the way up like this. The only difference is that there isn't going to be a collar for the sweater on the back, although we could add a little bit of yellow up at the top of the build that would kind of represent that the collar is actually out at the back, which we might do. The only thing is it will blend in very, very well with the back of the arms, and it might not look very good, but we'll take a look when we actually get up here. We can always keep in some of the collar. Now that we're here, so now that we have all of the blue, I actually think that it looks way better like this, but if you did want to, if you did think it'd look a little bit better, some portion of the collar of his shirt would actually be probably visible from the back. So it's up to you whether you want to add, say, like a little yellow bar there. It's a very minute detail that I don't think really adds or detracts from the build, really. I think that's personal preference. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to fill in the arms. Hopefully it is as easy to figure out as the actual sweater portion of the build, meaning all you've got to do is just color code the arms. So where you have the black concrete, simply place black. Where you have the white terracotta, place white. And I don't think, oh, there is also the other color of yellow as well. I was going to say that's it, but yeah, we also have the yellow for the upper part of the arm, which is of course the shirt that is underneath his sweater. So that is also why you know, part of the collar is yellow. He's obviously wearing a bright yellow shirt underneath his checkered blue sweater. So all of this just has to be filled in. Once you've done one side, once you've mastered one side, I'm sure that you will have no problem in doing the other side at all. So we can fill this in, and we have the front of the arm too. It's actually kind of easy to forget about a particular panel of the arm. So do make sure, the top's filled in too. So do make sure that you are a little bit thorough as you go around, but I'm sure that will be quite self-evident if you do miss a few blocks here and there. So once this has been filled in, what we'll then be working on is the inside of the build, which we have to unclutter and add rooms to, and furniture and all of that fun stuff as well. So, oh, and also the crowbar too. I actually completely forgot about that. And a good idea what you might want to do is, particularly in the top of the shoulders and maybe even the top of the head, you may want to add glass in there instead of actually using the concrete, as that would actually let in some natural light rather than just kind of the darkness that you will have otherwise. But you can also use torches instead to counter that, but if you wanted to, you could use glass, which would be a nice natural alternative. It depends how spooky you're trying to make this. So now that we have successfully filled in the majority of the statue, what we now want to grab is, along with the grey concrete that we already had with us, we want to grab the light grey concrete, some sort of door, ladders, and a light source. So I'm using torches, but you might actually prefer lanterns. It depends where we're going to be placing all of the light. You might not be able to. So we're going to be placing a crowbar in his right hand, which is, funnily enough, the left side as we're looking at it. The crowbar is going to start. It's basically these two middle blocks in the center of the hand that are one row away from the edge of the hand. So these two here, we want to place grey concrete. You could even set them a further row backwards if you like, and I'm actually going to try this. And you want to raise up the grey concrete up to about the height of the shoulder. Do feel free to raise it up a little bit higher if you like, although it kind of then takes airspace away from the face, so just test it out if you like. We're going to take the top and extend it forwards by 2 rows just like this, and then we're going to highlight it by using light grey concrete, which will look a little bit better. And that's just going to sit inside there, and then we maintain the shape, and it just looks a little bit better. And that is how the actual statue will look once it has been completed. So to go from statue to house, what we're now going to do is make a small entrance here towards the center of the build, so in between the arms. And we can also add a floor in here, so it's kind of up to you what sort of floor you want to add. I'm going to stick, I think, to the checkered pattern. And you can even hide things inside of the arms as well if you like. Actually, the checkered pattern would work like this. So if we're kind of like adhering to the checkered pattern that we kind of have like... So that would be like, there we go. If we're kind of adhering to the checkered pattern, like as we go from front to back, you can kind of see that it follows on inside, which is a little bit funny actually. So you can actually hide things inside of the arms if you want to, although I am choosing just to seal it up. And as I did say, I think that I'm just going to use the checkered pattern just to seal this up. And in doing this, and if you did want to, you could make those little rooms hidden. It's actually getting a bit dark in here. I'm glad that I grabbed the torches, so I'm just going to chuck a couple of them down just so that I can actually see what I'm doing right now. And how did I do it on that side? Okay, so I placed it on kind of like the inside of the arm, and then that way we've just got a tad little bit more space. But the only purpose of this particular part of the build is to get us all the way up to where the main space is going to be, which is inside of the head. So the idea for me is I want to place ladders running all the way up the center of the back here, and I'm then going to break into the base of the head, so here. And this is going to be where we're just going to have a little base. Obviously, there isn't a massive amount of space inside here, but I think that it's kind of cool just to have a little hidden room inside. So it's completely up to you what you want to fill this up with, but you know, just the regular sort of survivally base looking things I think would be a pretty decent idea. So we can start off with a couple of beds, just like left and right, in the middle rather, and then we can left and right of this maybe have kind of like a couple of planks. We can have like crafting table, furnace. We can chuck a little bit of light in here, maybe even 2, since it is very, very dark. We could even, if you wanted to, we could even have like a little library just behind us. This could go all the way up to the top of the head if we wanted to. A big giant enchantment library like this. Chuck a couple of chests on the side just so that we've got a little bit of storage, maybe even more so closer to the planks here. We maybe could even use, say, an anvil and maybe even some more furnaces and stuff like that as well. So just like this, kind of like built up, but and we could even add some shelves and other things like that as well. But that's just kind of like a demonstration of the sort of room that you have in here. You could even have 2 floors inside the head. There's actually enough room for it if you did so want. But I just kind of wanted to demonstrate to you the sort of room that you would have. And then of course we had the ladders leading all the way back down. You could use this as a little bit of storage at the bottom as well. And all we have to do of course is place some doors just on the front here, and then we will have actually finished our build. That is completely done. So this is what your Mr. Peterson house will look like once it has been 100% fully completed. As you can see, we have the front, the back, the sides done. He has his glorious mustache and also his deadly crowbar. And as we come into the middle of the house, I have made absolutely no alterations, but on the inside here, you can see that you've got enough room for a little bit of storage, and we can climb our way all the way up to the top here, and we can see inside of the head, and we can see him staring back at us, which is actually a little bit creepier than I thought it would be. But that's it. If you did enjoy this tutorial, please do remember to hit that like button, as it really helps me and the channel out very, very much. If you are new around here, please consider subscribing and clicking the little bell next to the subscription button. That'll ensure that you get all my stuff sent directly to your sub box. And if you do want to make anything else by me, please check out the card system in the description below and the top of the comment section for more. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.